Look at
okay.
her.
I just realised I look a bit scruffy.
Swishing of the hair, swishing of the hair. So,
right. What's the talk on?
So, earlier on, I said similar sort of stuff. I have, in the page today, I have shared information about starting up a new business.
Yeah.
I've shared stuff about mindset, spirituality kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I did a
EFT,
session on
EFT stuff, tapping stuff.
we talked about that quite a bit earlier on, didn't we?
I loved that. I loved it.
Really powerful stuff. So it's just really to have a discussion about it and have a chat about business. And I kind of had a chat earlier on about, the difficulties and the overwhelm of business and all the things that you need to consider when you're running a business, how difficult it can be, but how rewarding it is. What was that?
It's okay, I just kind of lost myself a little bit.
You're like bold school children.
Go for it.
I'm really interested in the EFT thing. I'm sorry I missed the session earlier. I know it's about tapping. Someone did it on me once and they made me cry, and I was quite uncomfortable with what was happening, but it was happening.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah.
I was obviously very emotional and had tucked things away. I didn't realise I had.
And I didn't know actually until earlier when Yvonne was explaining, because I've heard about tapping and I've heard it's really good for mental health, for like depression, anxiety. So I asked Yvonne to kind of clarify that, because I didn't know there was an emotional, it can release your emotional stuff that's going on. So when you just mentioned that, Aisha, I thought that's what I was really interested in earlier on, because I'm really looking at probably doing it, doing it again.
Yeah.
I ended up buying a book for my birthday because Yvonne somehow mentioned it in the early days, and then it got gifted to me. And actually the title of the book was found, and just before it got purchased, I said, wait, I need to check with Yvonne from the group if it's the right book. And it was exactly the right book, and it arrived. It's arrived, so I've got it now. It's the first book I've ordered in years.
The EFT specific? Aisha? Oh, good.
Mark and Victoria were in earlier on, and Victoria has done some work, and Mark's he's attending sessions just now, Diana, isn't he?
Yes, he said I forgot that.
It's a really good book. A couple of books that I can share with you. But so obviously it's working in the central nervous system, and then when you're tapping on the certain areas that you tap on, they're your meridian points. So they work with your central nervous system to change your state, but how you're feeling about certain things. So if you say that someone did that on you, Aisha, we had this discussion earlier on, and generally when I'm working with someone, I would be going through that with them, and they would be tapping on themselves. And the only time I'd probably do that, well, at the moment you can't anyway, because it's all online, but I would probably, if there was a certain reason, I would maybe tap on someone, but they generally would tap on themselves. But like I was saying earlier on, there's all sorts of different ways of doing it. Everybody's got different techniques, but it's the same principle, obviously. And it's just such a powerful exercise that you can really put into practice. And what I was saying earlier on was, we've all done our NLP training. We've got lots of good tools and strategies, but the EFT is really good because people can take that away with them and practice that. But it's not necessarily the things that we do with the NLP is not something necessarily that people can take away. Some of the things they can, but the likes of timelines, if you're looking at limiting beliefs, that's generally us that would have to do that with people. So it's something that they can take away with them and put in their toolkit and bring that out whenever they need to take it out. And you can use it for all sorts of things. So it's really powerful stuff.
Does it work on, is it pressure points it's working on?
Meridian points. So those meridian points work with the central nervous system. So you start tapping on the side of your hand. I've got a video in the group, and it's linked to YouTube. So I've got a demonstration on it, but it's fine. So and then top of your head, the middle of your head, to the side of your nose, underneath your eye, there. Your chin.
This is very sensitive, this part.
Yeah.
Is that something to do with my meridian?
That can be used for other things like facial, if you're getting facials or facial massage, that's all connected. But that's not something that you would do with the EFT, as far as I know, anyway.
I thought you just did that.
Yeah, you tap there, tap there, tap here, tap. So where your collarbone is, right in the middle of there. Then underneath there, so it's probably in line with your chest. And then,
yeah, okay.
And then your fingers. But the demonstration I did, I didn't do the one with fingers, but it's just a short demonstration. It would be different if I was doing that on a one-to-one with someone. And obviously you've got your thought field therapy, which is very similar, but you're tapping on a part of your hand there, and you go through sort of ritual of different things as well, which I would show people how to do when I was doing it with someone. But the thought field therapy is really good for specific, like severe anxiety and depression and stuff like that. Whereas, I say the EFTs maybe lighter in general stuff that you could use, everyday stuff sort of thing. So that's really, really, really good stuff.
Really interesting.
So if you're in a situation where you're not feeling, I think like you said about going for like job interviews, for example, and you're nervous about that, would you recommend a part of the body where you can technically, calm yourself before going for this interview? Or how would where would you use that? Is it like a confidence thing, limiting beliefs?
Yeah, I would say, like, so for example, if you were going for a job interview, I would do the whole, like, you can probably just tap away in your fingers, because it's also about taking those thoughts away from what's going on in your head and concentrating on something else. So you tap, like, for example, say you were at work and there was something going on that you didn't feel comfortable about, you could probably tap away underneath your desk and your fingers or something like that.
Good idea.
But it's more effective to go through the whole process. But you could go away to the toilet and do it, or take yourself away somewhere, because you don't want to be sitting somewhere where people are seeing you, be like, what's she doing? So, I know.
Yeah.
Don't think we'll head in for the job interviews. But so, I would probably go through the whole process because it's easier to do. And you can do it quite quickly as well to lower those nerves and to take, dampen down the nervous system a little bit, if I could put it like that. But it's just reducing those nervous feelings that come with anxiety, for example, the butterflies in the stomach, the sweaty palms, the feeling uncomfortable in social situations, not being able to leave the house. And obviously we've got all sorts of levels of depression and anxiety, like anything. But they really do help to calm yourself down. But I would say you could probably do things or tap away somewhere, just on a part of your body. But the good thing is people don't really see you tapping. You could tap away in your fingers, but you're thinking as well at the same time about what it is. So for example, say if you were doing the job interview, you'd probably say all this nerves about the job interview, feeling really anxious, feeling really nervous, scared to make a fool of myself, all the kind of things that you're probably thinking. And then, so scared, anxious, you're just using one or two words in each part, maybe doing that a couple of times, then you change it to, I'm going to be amazing in this job interview, I'm going to do really well, I'm happy about doing it, I've done all the research I need to do, I'm going to...
Completely reframing it, aren't you, Yvonne, actually? You're completely reframing it, aren't you?
Absolutely.
So the coaching in the EFT can actually work.
You're reframing it, and you're looking into your sort of future of how you're actually what the outcome's going to be as well. So
what I like about that is when we think about other techniques like NLP techniques, like the swoosh model, obviously it's quite difficult to do that in the space of others, but with what you're describing, you can very quietly do it without anyone noticing. If you're sitting at your desk, no one even needs to know, and you feel safe then. It's like a barrier or what's the word?
It's like the ready break.
Yes, you read my mind. You literally read my mind. I was like, it's Ready Annie from Ready Break. It's that that glow.
Yeah, the protective glow.
You read my mind. I was like, what's the word? That's what it is. Because when I'm listening to clients talk, when you're talking about growth model and limiting beliefs, it's a very kind of theoretical exercise. But when you take them through a technique, it's amazing how powerful a technique can be on a person because of what their brain lets them do.
Yeah.
And this is, as you talked about meridian lines, it's letting them go somewhere else in their control they can take away and do on their own.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, there's another one that really strikes me about this as well. I mean, apart from yes, there's all of the depressive things of trying to calm yourself, but also in a natural situation as well. Like I was hugely shy before. And I only got over it by forcing myself to do stuff, to do speaking and to do podcasts and stuff. But I would have been, oh God, I'd be just dying before. And I'd be stuttery and I'd be really shy. And, you know, getting on stage, I just couldn't remember lines. And if I didn't have a line by line written down, I couldn't do it. So having techniques like this to relax you, for example, going on stage.
Absolutely.
Perfect. It's perfect.
Yep. It's, you know, and that's one of the things that you can do. Like, I know, for example, raising your vibration as well before you go and do something like that. So your energy levels are quite high. So, you know, that's why you see a lot of people probably before they go and do a concert or something, they're dancing, they're jumping about, they're getting their
high energy.
It's just about raising those. We had a conversation about this the other day, and I don't know if it was Kelly's or was it yours, Diane? I can't remember. Raising your vibration, and it's just about getting those energy levels in the right place and getting rid of that nervous feeling. And the future timelines that we do is amazing for that as well, isn't it? I mean, it's just
timeline is good.
Very, very powerful.
You can look down on yourself, yeah.
This is sometimes, I mean, to anybody watching this, I sometimes think with us coaches, we've been so fortunate. Yes, we've invested in it, but there's so much that we could demonstrate to people, even just like this discovery call. If people just don't even really, it's just the skim of the surface, the word coach. What comes under it is so much more. And what you're talking about with future timeline and looking down and things, I don't know, I hope people can grasp the idea of what it is, but we could explain it so much easier. So reach out to us. I'm saying that, I mean it. Please do. It's only half an hour if you want a bit more information, because you'll be arming yourselves with tools and resources that we can all help you have.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't have to. Nothing's like force, but.
So we were talking earlier on as well about the new business startup and stuff as well, and about how difficult that can be for people when, you know, it could be quite overwhelming when you're maybe working for someone else. Because I know from my point of view, you know, I've always worked for someone. I've always had my wage coming in at the end of the month, you know, paid when I'm off sick, all that kind of stuff. And I suppose that's probably what stops a lot of people from moving forward as well. It's that comfortable space that they're in, and maybe they want to achieve something, but they're scared to, because what if they fail, or the limiting beliefs set in again, and all that kind of stuff. So setting up a business can be really quite, you know, there's a lot of challenges, but it can also be really, really rewarding. And it's that feeling, like we had this discussion the other day, and I know Ali said that she's the happiest that she's ever felt, because she's doing what she wants to do. And isn't that just incredible to be in that place where you feel utterly happy with what you're doing?
Okay, so let me ask you this, because you I agree with you, by the way. Small businesses, I don't have one, but there's obviously, as you've said, Rich Dad Poor Dad. You figure out if this book some guy wrote, Kawasaki, I can't remember his name. But you choose, do you want to be self-employed or employed?
Robert Kawasaki.
So if I was to say I'm afraid of leaving my full-time employed job where I have a pension and I have healthcare because I pay into it, and I'm scared that I can't make, I don't know how to make money and how to find sales, how to find clients. That's obviously a limiting belief I have. How would you I'm just asking because I missed out on the session earlier. Is it all right to ask, what would you advise or say to someone to encourage them like me?
Yeah, so I would say that I think anyone is capable of doing whatever they want to do. And I do a lot of stuff on manifesting your goals and your dreams and your desires into your life as well. So it's about the positivity, creating habits and looking at your future self and seeing yourself in that position that you want to be in, who you look like, what you want to be earning, where you want to be. And it's about thinking about keeping in mind, if you want to go and do that and you've got ambitions, the self-sabotage sometimes gets in the way. So I always start with a mindset with people. And as coaches, we know that often if the mindset is not in the right place, then moving forward is incredibly difficult for people.
Awesome. Yeah.
So strengthening the mindset is the first thing to do, so that, it could be journaling, brain dumping, have morning routines, and just strengthen your mindset, make it more positive, have affirmations that you use.
I got all of them, but you said brain dumping?
Yeah, brain dumping. So journaling.
Journaling. Get it all out of your head.
Yeah,
Writing.
so Diana said this the other day in our... Yeah.
I think it's a powerful thing to do. If you're, rather than having all here, just get it all out on, whether you're a writer, just write it in a journal. I like stationery, so I really buy nice notebooks.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do. Or you could just type on your laptop, as long as you get it out of your head, and it's just like releasing your thinking.
Yeah.
And then I think you get clearer, don't you, Yvonne? Once you start to get things out, it just feels as though you've released it, whatever the thoughts are, whether it's good or bad, just get rid of them, brain dump, all out, get it out of your head.
It's all these thoughts and the negative things are sometimes going on in your head.
Everything, get it out.
When you're writing it down, it's like I kind of said cathartic, because that's the only word I can really think of at the moment. But it's a bit of a release to get things written down on a bit of paper.
Yes.
It can make your thoughts a bit clearer as well. So I think it's a really, really good exercise, and you can get a lot of ideas written down that way as well.
You get really creative with it. Actually, you start.
Absolutely.
You on. Do you not think you get really clear on your brain, and you can, your mind?
Yeah. And you can give yourself your own answers. So you're writing it down, writing, and you maybe look back on it, and then it allows you to think clearer, because when your brain's fuddled with all the information that's going on from modern day society, there's so many things going on, get it down on a bit of paper.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I've done it on a sheet of paper.
Fine, it's good.
Maybe a note or two, but never like a whole journal.
Yeah. I like
that's part of my routine.
I like mind maps, actually.
Mind map's great as well.
Yes, I use them.
Mind map is great as well.
Yeah.
Really good.
Really good.
Yeah. And I would actually say another thing, because I was kind of dipping into this because I had an idea that I might do a startup instead of going back into work full time. And what I found was actually taking every opportunity to engage with other people who are doing the same thing. And you get ideas, and it's not just about what you want to do, but it's also about the ancillary things about it. Once you've decided what your focus is, you need to be sure that you're doing your tasks right, and you're figuring out how that works. And it's actually never as complicated as you think. So when you don't know what you have to do there, start looking into it and just start chatting with people. And the government have loads of these kind of courses as well on how to set up a business, and they're always full of really good ideas that you'll discover things that you never knew existed and help you never knew existed. And that's brilliant. That was one of the things that really surprised me. Coming up with the idea, you can have tons of ideas, but if you don't know how you do it and how you sell it.
Absolutely. It sometimes comes down to the practicalities, doesn't it? And it depends what finances you need sometimes as well, because I know, for example, being a life coach and a lot of other services that are offered, you don't really need a lot of money to start it up, because you can do things organically through social media and stuff. And then when you start making money, you can advertise. But yeah, sometimes you need a little bit of money at the back of you, depending on what it is that you're doing as well. So there's lots of money out there. And obviously the government and the situation with lockdown and people getting made redundant and losing their jobs, there's a lot of incentives out there for people to start up their own business or do training.
A lot of people doing it even in these times, aren't there? There's so many businesses that have started during 2020.
Yeah.
Just seizing the opportunities that are out there, and especially the government are really supporting startup businesses as well. So that's a really good point, actually.
And and it's really important just to make sure that if there are people who are doing it, it's to remember that you do need to put your tax portion aside. Because I know if you're in a bit of trouble, the temptation is to just spend all the money. But you need to be sure that you're not going to get into trouble later on.
Yeah,
and it's just to be really practical about it, if you can.
Absolutely.
I mean, the one piece of advice I remember when I was training to be a barrister, and I never really worked as one because it was just awfully tough, really, was when you get your money, put 25% aside for you to use and put the rest aside, which sounds really horrible because you may not get paid until later. So you're in debt before you've even had a chance to declare anything because you don't know when you're going to get paid. But it was really good advice because I think if you're a little bit tough on yourself, you can manage your finances a bit better. Of course, you need enough to survive. But I remember once, a very long time ago, I figured out when I started working and how many years I'd been working and what I'd earned every year and what I needed to live off. And I realized over the years, I literally lived off exactly the same amount per year, regardless of what I was earning. So I now know what I need, like base worst case scenario when you're just finishing being a student. And it's not actually a lot. I mean, cost of living has a lot to do with where you live and what you put on your table to eat. It's probably changed a lot as well.
Actually, I'm just going to pop to get a book.
Right. Because I think as well, in today's society, it becomes quite materialistic and people want more and more. And I think during lockdown, come to realise that actually, do you need all those kind of things? So being grateful for the situation, being grateful for what you've got. And like you say, Aisha, having food on your table and having the money that you need to survive. As long as you're happy, that's the main thing, isn't it?
That's the main thing.
Well, I also say, as a woman, you have to fight for equality because guys generally in some regions here get paid 25% more, maybe even in the UK as well, like the pay gap. But ultimately, we have to spend the same amount of money on a loaf of bread and a pint of milk as someone else. And tax-wise, we get taxed differently. So it's we have less then to go towards our pension pot. So I think it's really important to fight for what you should be entitled to when it comes to if you're not going self-employed. But I guess if you have a small business, you usually would be, right? Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree.
So I was going to say that actually Paul McKenna. I have a load of his books from the library. I love him. I love his. There's a positivity audio thing that he does. It's really nice. But it's not this one, but the one I was thinking of, he brings you to, I would recommend going into the library and taking it out. Because what he does, it's a case of going through your life, seeing what your expenses are, writing down everything, writing down where you want to get to, and then writing down your plans. So he brings you to this session of going through where you're coming from, looking at in detail, writing down what you are and what your expenses. I know a lot of people would have done this, but I actually personally I haven't done it. I could just kind of floated around. Oh yeah, I have enough money to live and a little bit extra, but I haven't really gone into it in detail, like really figuring out what's happening with my pensions and what's going in there. And by doing that, it was quite nice because it gave you goals. It gave you financial goals. And not out of this world financial goals, but just really realistic stuff of what you want to get and how you can put it into place. And as Aisha said, really, if you take out all of the other crap that you don't really need, it's a bit Marie Kondo-ish as well. You just see how much you're wasting on little things.
Yeah.
And if you add, I mean, I had a thing the last time I was off was I added up how much money I was spending on coffee, because I was going for coffee. Because I sit there with a book and coffee, and that was great. But I was doing that like maybe twice a day some days.
Yeah,
and you add that up, and suddenly it's like, oh, like, how much money am I spending on coffee in a week?
Yes,
simple things like that.
Yeah, it fairly adds up.
It does add up, yeah. It really does. So you just start not maybe just prioritizing that.
Yeah, yeah.
I just have to share this. It's slightly out of context, but when I first moved to Germany, very process-driven, quality control, customer service, meh. So I went to a place to get a cup of coffee, and being in England, you would just say, can I have some more of whatever? And they'd be like, yeah, sure, there you go. And here they went, yeah, but it will cost you double. All I asked for was a little bit of extra foam milk to go in it, because it was too strong. And they were like, of course, but then I have to charge you twice because I have to press the button twice.
I don't think these UK guys realize how good they have it.
I told my friend in Bamberg what had happened, and she said, welcome to German customer service.
Yep.
She had no problems with it whatsoever. Yeah, you learn so many things, because in England, you can say, can I have a glass of water? Here, if you ask for a glass of water, they charge you for it. And it's actually got a separate name to, can I just have water from the tap versus a glass, Leitungswasser and or not. Yeah, you learn all these things. So in England, actually, or I don't know about Scotland, but you get away with getting a lot more for free for your money's worth. But maybe people are sort of reining in a bit.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. Do you want to tell them how much you have to spend on healthcare here?
I don't mind.
I don't mind either, but then if you add it up, you realise that you're spending.
Well, the great thing about a payslip here is because in the UK, I don't think it was the case, but with a payslip here, it really separates out every single amount of your money and where it's going. And you know how much is going of your money to help rebuild East Germany, solidarity tax. Although they'll be ending it soon.
Or the church tax.
Church tax, you can choose to say if you are religious or not, and then a bit of your salary will go towards that.
Yeah, but it's like was it 14% or is it 7%?
That what the healthcare?
No, the church tax.
I don't know.
Church tax is about. So I'm not. Yeah, I'm not. I'm an atheist. So
that's incredible that they break it down like that.
Oh, yeah.
But the healthcare is the best one, because the best one. I mean, you have to pay into it, but I don't think it's any different to the NHS, because people say, "Oh, we get free healthcare." It's like, no, you don't. You're paying your salary. Some of your money's going towards the NHS. You just don't know how much and where.
But you don't have to pay NHS tax, do you?
It's not a tax, it's from your income. Because it's taxpayers' money that funds the NHS.
Oh, no, I agree. But you don't have to pay, like I get taxed and then I pay Krankenkasse money on top.
Well, so 15% of it, half of it I pay, half of it my employer pays.
Yeah.
That goes into my ability to be allowed to benefit from when I'm sick. Yeah,
I agree. I think it's very important as well.
It's like everyone kind of roughly knows what their budget is per year on themselves. They like €2,000 or whatever, something like that. But in England, people you just don't know. You just know if you're sick, hopefully you can get seen.
Yeah.
Because you have the NHS. But if you're private, then But I guess if you're self-employed and have a small business, you would think really carefully about whether you would spend that money, because you're paying for it. You don't get holidays, but it's up to you.
Yeah, that's all the kind of things you need to think about, isn't it?
Yeah, you don't get holiday pay. You need to factor that in. Go back to laughing. Let's go back to meridian points.
Well, I was thinking there must be a balance, because a lot more people are turning to being self-employed, so they must have the ability to strike a balance with their well-being versus their income, so that they can run the business that they want, which can only be good, can't it?
Yeah.
If you have the right mindset.
Yeah, but most people who are self-employed, like they pay themselves from their company. So they set up a company and they pay themselves from their company. So they're essentially employed by their own company.
Yeah, think of it as a limited company. You've got to set up a limited company for that, and then you're paying yourself out of that. So you pay yourself a wage out of that. But yeah.
Yeah, and this is what I was saying, but it's well worthwhile going to seminars to get advice on this stuff, because it's not actually expensive to get an accountant to deal with that stuff for you, because they'll just take a percentage of you, whatever you bring in, and they'll help you set that up properly in the beginning.
I do my own. I've had a property rental company since 2006, so I do my own self-assessments. But yeah, whether I'm doing it exactly the right way or not is another thing. But yeah, I've been doing them a long time now, so and no one's ever come.
You're quite comfortable doing them, Yvonne, then, I suppose. It's just
well, I used to have an accountant doing it, and I basically gave them all the info. It took me quite a while to make up all the information that I needed to give them, and they would just slot that into the spreadsheet. The self-assessment form, and I'm like, no,
I can do this.
I've done the most of the work, so I'll just do it myself. So yeah, I do that, and I've just picked up bits and pieces over periods of time. So I kind of roughly know what I'm doing now when I come to do them, but it's not the most enjoyable experience ever. So feel free to get an accountant. And actually, the benefit of having an accountant is that they can guide you in the right direction, because they should know the ins and outs of everything and what you can claim and all that kind of stuff. So you probably are, I wouldn't say that that's the best way to do it. It works for me, but probably an accountant is the best way to go.
Yeah, it is. It definitely, I have to do it for I have an apartment in Dublin. So I have to do it for Irish tax, because I have to declare Irish tax for that. And actually last year I ended up owing minus a couple of thousand, because I have to keep it up from here. So I spend to go over and check it up, and I have to pay the maintenance. I've got to pay to renovate in certain cases, and I spent quite a lot. So I ended up not only owing any tax, which is kind of cool. It was my first time doing that revenue online system. So all of the online stuff, it's brilliant. It's really good. And you just have to read about what you can actually claim or can't claim. So I'm actually kicking myself as a full-time employee before that. I never actually did claim. I just paid tax through my employer, and so I didn't think about claiming stuff. And it's quite cool once you do that. You look into the tax environment, so you can. I mean, especially as if you've got a company, you can claim lots of stuff.
Right.
Back your
That's right.
You can claim back your expenses for traveling.
Yeah.
Very helpful tips.
The what?
Very helpful tips.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's just useful to pick up anything that you can along the way, because people become a bit lost about what to do and where to go. So anything that people can get that are going to really help their business is really, really useful. And you know, we've got a lot of different Facebook groups now that can advise you these things. You can join Facebook groups that will give you lots of hints and tips as well. So I think the best thing to do is build on or get people to help you that have got the experience already, you know, in terms of building a business up, because that's what's going to get you through a lot quicker. A coach, for example, because you know, when you have a coach and you're building a business up, obviously as coaches we get our clients to think within about what they need to do, and when they do that gives them the independence and the self-esteem that they need to strive forward with their business. Whereas if they have a mentor and they're kind of giving them advice, they're not really thinking of that themselves, so they can then go away to find all these things out for themselves. So you can kind of break it up, chunk it down, give them the goal for the following week. You've got someone to be accountable to, you know, so
Good advice.
Yeah, very
nice, Yvonne. Thank you. Great advice.
Yes. So we've been doing this for quite a while now. I don't want to keep anybody any longer than they have to. I've really enjoyed this though.
Thank you.
So thank you all so much for coming along. Is there any other questions before I wind down?
I mean, I'm sorry I couldn't make the session earlier, but I've learned a lot now about what EFT is, and what positive things you can actually get out of setting up a small business. There's obviously lots available with grants, government support. Don't be put off by it if it's what you want to do, because ultimately that will make you happy.
Absolutely, totally agree, Aisha. It's
what I hear. So
yeah. So yeah, go for it, folks. If you want to start your own business, just go for it. Do it.
Reach out for help.
Awesome.
Reach out for help.
And I'm going to start thinking about journaling.
Yeah, absolutely. Get that journaling done. It's amazing, amazing, positive.
I'm definitely going to check out your video on the tapping points next. Actually,
yes,
I'm really
good.
That. I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry I missed that earlier on. It sounds fascinating.
It's really good. Really.
I think it's a journal, roughly.
As big as you want
all
it to.
All different sizes. You probably bet.
It's a little notebook, or I've got mine's A4. I've got different.
Yeah.
Is journaling the same thing as diary writing?
I call mine a thought diary, but it's the same as journaling is just the same, isn't it? Well, you just get everything out of your head.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I suppose you
just go into a little space and corner and just get it out and just zone out. It's quite nice to do it.
I'll leave you one more for you. Sorry, I had a boss in Italy, and his wife always gave out because she said he always sleeps beside his journal, and he'll wake up in the middle of the night with an idea, or he'll dream something, and then he'll write it down, and then he'll go back to sleep again. So at the end of the year, he's got this journal with ideas.
Exactly.
And when you're sleeping, when you use your intuition, the thoughts can come to you.
Absolutely.
Because subconscious, you're sleeping, so you're in a relaxed state, and that's when things come to you. And if you read a lot of information on this, you'll see that when those ideas come to you, that's the best thing to do. Wake up. You're either waking up during the night, or you wake up first thing in the morning and write it down.
Get it out your head. Yeah.
It's a really good point.
I like that.
Powerful.
I think I might look into that.
Yeah, just get up in the air going,
It's like a dream journal.
Right, thank you again, ladies.
No, it's been great. Thank you.
Thanks.
Great sessions today, Yvonne. Thank you so much.
Coming along, and I'm sure we'll catch up very soon. So thanks again, ladies.
Thank you
so much. Have a lovely evening.
Finger coming to the phone again. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.